Hey everyone, Livy here, back with another video. It's been a little while for me filming, at least. Maybe not for you guys watching, but today I'm going to do a very fun VR to Candy, Soul, and Soil. This is Collections Meet Decks. I believe that's the right hashtag. If not, I'll correct it later. But this is a fun tag, okay? This is basically a tag where you examine your other types of collections that you have that are, different from tarot, and you try to pair tarot decks to them. So I've seen a bunch of fun videos to this already. I've seen, for instance, the first time I saw this tag, because I wasn't aware of it at first, was I saw like Julie over at Peekaboo Rose had done mugs, which is cool. I also collect mugs, but I didn't want to show that today. And by the way, sorry if I sound slightly more nasally and stuff than usual. I'm getting over a cold, or not really cold, flu, whatever. So yeah, anyways, I saw Julie's and her video was really cool. I even saw Robin at Robin's Reflections talking, through her crystals. Some other people have had some other very, very awesome collections. Hell, I could have even shown just, I could have paired more tarot decks with books that I have, because let's be honest, like, books are one of my biggest collections. Even crystals are, or not really crystals, I guess, like minerals and rocks and stuff. I also collect those too. So if you can tell, I collect a lot of different things. But when I thought about one of those collections I have that I'm like glad I still have, because it just reflects a very specific period of time in my life, I have to say I am most glad that I still have my CD collection. So yes, I still have CDs, guys. Can you believe? I grew up with them, okay? I was born in the early 90s. I grew up in the late 90s, early 2000s-ish time. So I love CDs. CDs were a thing when I was a kid. That was the thing I had. I even have a CD player still, even though I haven't played any CDs on it in a while. I used to upload all my CDs to my iTunes account. I had an iPod, or various different types of iPods, and little ones and big ones and all these things. I love music, okay? And now it's just kind of sad, because we're in a weird digital age where we have Spotify. I mean, I use Spotify, but it's not the same, okay? It's not the same vibes as when I used to be on iTunes, and I used to be able to like shove playlists together for my CDs. Like, this is actually music that I curated. It's not just like I can instantly look up new songs, kind of thing. I had to actually go out of my way to get the music. So yeah, I love music. I love CDs. I still have all of my CDs. There were some CDs, I will admit, when I was getting towards like my end of high school years into college, I started downloading a lot of it was like digital CDs, right? So a lot of those albums, they exist on my iPod, because I still have my iPod. Can you believe? So they still exist on there. I just never burned a disc, and that way. But anyways, not important. Let's get into the decks that I paired with certain CDs in my collection, okay? Some of these I think are perfect matches. Some might not be perfect matches. And guess what? Out of the 7 decks I have, 2 of these are actually oracles, because I thought the oracles would be better to pair than a tarot. So it's going to be what it is. Anyways, let's start with the first one. Okay, guys, this came out, oh man, does it say anywhere on here what year it came out? Ah, it does. Okay, look at that shit. It even says it right there. 2006, guys. I've had this since 2006. I'm pretty sure I've had it since then. In 2006, I was still in middle school. Yes, I had to think about that for a second. Holy shit, I'm dating myself. I'm old now. Okay. Yeah, I was in middle school when this album came out, The Black Parade. If you don't listen, I don't know how to explain to you. If you were not a My Chemical Romance kid, I don't know. I don't know how to explain this to you any better of how much of a vibe this was at the time. I used to be obsessed with a CD. Like, look at how cool it is. Oh man. And here's the thing. You can tell I used to be such a nerd. Okay, see how it's all jacked up on the side here? This is because I used to do this thing with my CDs where if they had the lyrics, as you can see, I would literally put my CD player going and I would belt out the lyrics to these songs. Yes, I was that nerdy. That was me. And I did that. But you're probably thinking, what the hell deck could I have paired with the Black Parade of all things? Now here's the thing. I can't claim I have a lot of punk or even emo-ish decks, but for some reason every time I see the Darkwood Tarot, for some reason this gives me the same vibes. I don't know what it is. It just feels like it exists somewhere in this space, in this world, if I had to pair things. Now, especially because this deck, by the way, besides this is more skeletons, and there's not really like skeletons so much in the Darkwood Tarot, but there's a couple songs in here. Where is it? Like songs like Dead, The Sharpest Lives, specifically Disenchanted, House of Wolves. Like some of these songs, like there is wolves in this deck. There are figures that are vampires, you know, that have like these dark themes that seem like they're like half undead and spooky, and other such things. So I don't know. This just feels like the Black Parade for some reason to me. It's not, again, this one, I'm not sure if this one is 100% a match, but it gives me those same vibes. Otherwise, the only thing I could compare the Darkwood Tarot closer to, I guess, especially this, like, creepy clown thing, like, that's definitely Black Parade vibe. I don't know. This just feels like the Black Parade to me. Conversely, the Black Parade could also, I guess, be paired with the Nightmare Before Christmas Tarot, but I don't own that one, so, you know, I feel like this is pretty close otherwise. So, the Darkwood Tarot, and by the way, this is the mini. This is why I'm, like, holding it up this unbearably close. I have the mini. I like this better. I like this cardstock better. So, yeah. So this just feels like the Black Parade to me. And it's not as punk rock, obviously. This is more fantastical gothic. But it still feels like it. I don't know how to explain. Like, middle school me would have ate this shit up. So, yeah. Darkwood Tarot and the Black Parade from My Chemical Romance. I think that they are a pretty good match here. Okay, let's talk about this next album first of all. This is Viva La Vida. Yes, this is by Coldplay. This album, let me tell you, this album, when it came out in 2008, so I was a freshman in high school when this came out, people literally lost their goddamn minds. I remember people like just wigging out when this album came out, because look at it. Obviously, this is a famous painting that I believe is still in the Louvre, if I remember that correctly. I think I remember seeing in the Louvre, so I'm pretty sure that's where it was. This is the little booklet for it. Like, look at how like cool the colors and things are in here. Like, this is obviously different in the way that like, this is just a different vibe from the cover. And this is definitely a different vibe from what the deck the music actually sounds like when you play it. If you've never seen this album or never heard this album, I would highly recommend this one. It's just, this is like a masterclass in storytelling of a different time. And there's something about this album that for some reason makes me think of the Tildwyk Tarot. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that, they do kind of have similar vibes. Like aesthetically, it's like that ancient feeling. It reminds me of more of classical music, but not 100% classical music at the same time. This feel like the house or the manor that this is all supposed to take place in, the Tildwyk Tarot, feels like it would have belonged to someone either very important or royalty. A lot of the songs in here kind of cover ancient times. Like you have things like the Cemeteries of London, Lost, Lovers in Japan, even 42 Viva La Vida itself, which Viva La Vida, I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, but I'm pretty sure Viva La Vida is supposed to be about like either Napoleon or like one of the Louis during the French Revolution, and for some reason this just gives me that old tiny feel that when I see this deck, it just makes me think about Viva La Vida. Like this album was so good. I don't care what anyone says. I know there's some people who are very divisive about Coldplay for some reason. I don't know why. But I just loved that album. And some of this it has the vibes. Like it has the tone. Like if you listen to, especially speaking of Lovers in Japan or Reign of Love, like if you hear the Reign of Love part of it, it just feels like this, like the essence of this, like strolling through the garden, but it's like of a time that's already past. I don't know how else to best explain that, but God, so good. So good. I just think these are like a perfect pair. So yeah, the Tildwyk Tarot with Viva La Vida, I think these two just make total sense to me. Okay, the next album, this is just, again, one of many in my collection. Marina and the Diamonds, man. Now I'm pretty sure she just goes by Marina, if you ever want to look up this artist. But at one point, she went by Marina and the Diamonds. The album in question here is Electra Hearts. This album was so iconic. Does it say here... Oh, this one claims it came out in 2012. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's like right there where my nail is. So this one came out in a time where I would have already been, 2012, I was like in college already. But I feel like it came out earlier than that. Was it really 2012 when this album came out? I feel like it came out sooner. I don't know. But anyways, let me try to show a little bit of this booklet. So Marina and the Diamonds, I love, I guess it's just, it literally just has like the lyrics and stuff. Anyways, I love this album because it's kind of like a satire of, what it's like to have to go through the teenage years in... It feels more, what's funny? I don't think she's not even American as far as I'm aware. I think she's actually from the UK. But it's funny because it feels like a very American, like, teenager vibe to this deck. I don't know how else to explain that. Especially like Prima Donna and Teen Idol and stuff like that. It has this very pageantry vibe, this 1950s-esque almost feel. I don't know how to explain it, but the deck I decided to pair with it happens to be the Sistine Tarot, and you might be saying why. And part of that is because I believe Marina and the Diamonds for me has always been very adjacent, or kind of reminds me of also Lana Del Rey. By the way, I did have Lana Del Rey's, I had one of her albums, but I only had it digitally, so I didn't have like the physical. So that's why, otherwise I would have paired this deck with Lana Del Rey. But Marina is pretty close, especially because this deck, the Sistine Tarot, tends to also kind of have a little bit of pageantry to it, especially like things like this. This reminds me of the song Bubblegum Bitch from the album for some reason. It has this like the pinks and the flowers and like just the vibes that make me feel like Marina's vibe very vaguely. And just like wanting to be a teen idol, prima donna-esque, worship kind of thing. I don't know, these two kind of exist in the same like kind of vein to me. And also because I feel like Marina and Lana were both like becoming popular around the same time. Maybe I'm like slightly delusional there, but I'm pretty sure that's what I remember. And this, I don't know, they're just like, there's something about this that these make sense, right? Am I just delusional, or do these actually make sense? I'm pretty sure they do. Like they feel very together, very adjacent. Just like very similar moods. Makes me feel things. I don't know how else to explain that. But I love this album. Oh man, so good. Oh, especially like this. Like this is also, for some reason, very Marina vibes. So yeah, I have to say the Sistine Tarot, Marina, Electra Heart. This is very similar. I mean, this is more like, I guess, more poppy, where this feels not as much. But at the same time, the things that are covered in this album feel like this deck. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just pairing them together. So yep, that's that. Okay, next up might be an interesting choice for an album collection, but I'm obsessed with this album. This is pretty odd, as it says here. And you wouldn't know immediately, but if you look right here, you can see that this is Panic at the Disco. This, I feel like, is the album from Panic at the Disco that kind of gets shoved to the wayside and forgotten for some reason, which I always think is very odd. Very odd. I always find it odd because I actually think this is one of my favorite Panic at the Disco albums. I don't know why they didn't kind of go more with this style, but I was obsessed with this album. This is, as you can see, this is the CD in there. This is also one that's a little bit beat up because, yeah, I definitely was singing to this. This is the vibes, by the way. Like, look at the font. Look at the fun fonts and things. This was a fun one. I used to love this album. I don't remember. Oh, it's another 2008 one. There you go. I was also a freshman in high school, so there you go. I was vibing with this, but pretty odd. I think a perfect pair has to be the Peculiar Pathways Tarot. I mean, do they not just go perfect together? Come on. Even look at this. I'm sorry. Look at these backs and look at this. Look at this. They are the same thing. I'm sorry. I don't know if Lennox Reese is aware of this album, but I think like they need to be because this is like very similar. This has the vibes of Pretty Odd. It's a weird combination of things. This album This album and this deck feel very lyrical. They feel very whimsical. And Pretty Odd is pretty odd. It has a lot of folky sounds, but there's like parts of it that kind of tug at your heartstring because the lyrics in the album itself are very deep. And I feel like this deck kind of does the same thing where it seems very light and beautiful, but then like it'll randomly sucker punch you with something. And I feel like that's kind of what the Pretty Odd album was. I don't know. I just really like that album. So the Peculiar Pathways and Pretty Odd are pretty much a match made in heaven, in my opinion. They are cut from the same cloth. And yeah, they're just, I don't know, every time. So I really like this one and the Pretty Odd album. But oh man, this has been a fun one. I've been using this a lot in July, by the way. I mean, not July, August of the time of me filming this. So Pretty Odd, the Peculiar Pathways. They got same vibes. They got same feels. I think about these a lot. I might need to try to listen to the album as I flip through cards of this. I don't know. I might have to try that with all these after, but yeah. These two are a good match in my opinion. Okay. Welcome to what was probably my most played album ever of all time. This is Green Day's American Idiot. Wow. This album. I loved this album. And by the way, this album says 2004. Yeah, this was a little bit before I entered middle school, is I guess when the copyright for this album was going to be. But I'm pretty sure I was listening to this album in 2005. Pretty sure that's what I remember very strongly. Green Day's American Idiot. This, as you can see, it's also beat to hell. It is dirty as fuck because I listened to this album a little too much. I love this album. There's out of that. I mean, if you even look at this book here, the edges are messed up. It's even a little dirty in here. This is what we have to work with. I love this album, though. I was even, as you can see, I kind of traced over this as a kid. I would doodle and erase and doodle and erase and do things. I don't know why. But I love this album. This is one of my favorites. And this is kind of hard because how can you compare a tarot deck to this? I don't know. This was a masterpiece. When this album came out, I could not believe. American Idiot. How do you pair? How do you pair? And to be honest, I don't have a lot of decks that are modern-y, grungy in this particular way, this punk way. I don't. But you guys might be surprised by this. I recently acquired This Might Hurt. Yes, I have the This Might Hurt tarot, and as you can see, this is the indie version. I found this used, and I was shocked that I found it at such a good price. But yes, I have an indie version of This Might Hurt. And this feels the closest, to be honest, to American Idiot. Now, this also feels kind of close to My Chemical Romance's Desolation Days. I would also take that into consideration, but look at how like punky these backs are with this. I mean, first off, design-wise, these are pretty good match. Yeah, so the indie version, by the way, these holographic black edges, but also very punky. But this also reminded me of American Idiot because it just has a slight punk vibe to it. This deck also feels like it's going to punch me in the face. I haven't done a reading with this deck yet. But I feel like it's going to gut me. There's a reason why it's called This Might Hurt. Also, just like American Idiot, it's got that vibe to it where it's going to say what it needs to say because it has to. right? It has to be out there into the world. And so I feel like these kind of oddly go. Although I will say what's funny about This Might Hurt, even though it's like, it is, darker, meaner, I guess, in theme, a little more punky, is that this is even somehow lighter than American Idiot, in my opinion. But this is definitely a vibe. Like, this feels like a scene kind of straight out of the stuff that's happening in American Idiot. It's so interesting. And yeah, I am interested in getting this one a shot. And by the way, you could say, well, Livy, why did you bother with the indie version? Why didn't you just get the mass market that's out now? And you guys should know, I'm autistic. I have issues with sensory things. And I already know that Liminal 11's nasty gloss cardstock is, it's not my favorite. So I liked the more muted tones of the indie version. So when I saw a chance to get an indie version of This Might Hurt, I decided to jump on it, and I did, and I don't regret that now. I'm excited to eventually work with this. And yeah, so American Idiot and This Might Hurt, for some reason, they just feel very adjacent, and I don't know. I'm excited. They're a cool pairing, in my opinion. So yeah. Okay. We are now entering the Oracle territories. Again, I only have 2. This album, let's talk about this. This is Hayley Williams' Petals for Armor. This album came out more recent times, okay? This was, does it even say here? Yeah, 2020. This literally came out in 2020. I don't know what the hell happened in the back here, but I love this album. The reason why I chose this one, okay, here's the thing. So Hayley Williams, if you guys don't know, this is the lead singer of Paramore. And I love Paramore. And technically I could have paired a few decks with Paramore albums, and that probably would have had the same feel. But there's something about Petals for Armor that just felt, I don't know, it feels very mature, and it feels very, it just resonates very deeply. And so there's something about this that, I mean, this booklet isn't very big. The booklet's not anything to write home about, but this album has such good vibes to it. Deep vibes. And for some reason, when I was thinking about this album, I thought about this Oracle. This is Dirt Gems. Mine arrived beat up like this, which was unfortunate, but this is the indie version of Dirt Gems. I got this before it went mass market, so is what it is. But anyways, why did I choose this to pair with this? Well, for me, a lot of it has to do with the fact that, as the title of the album is, Petals for Armor, this whole deck here is literally full of flowers. But this deck is also about navigating through grief and pain and trauma and the things that are bound to try to fuck you up in life. Hayley Williams' album is an exploration of her pain, her grief, her trauma, especially after she went through what sounds like a pretty nasty divorce. And it's also about, finding yourself again after all of that. And I feel like this deck pairs with that idea so beautifully, in my opinion. That these were pretty much that match, especially because there's a song in here called Roses, Lotus, Violet, Iris, that just, if you listen to that song and then go and flip through this album, they are basically that same feeling. I don't know how else to explain that, but they are. So I felt like these two had to be talked about together. And I don't know. I haven't used this deck yet this year, by the way, because like I did a whole deck study with Dirt Gems in August of last year, and it was so good. But I haven't worked with it again since because I've been like trying to savor it kind of, and I've had other decks come in that I've wanted to use sooner. So yeah, but I still love this one paired with this deck. I mean, with this album. So Dirt Gems and Petals for Armor, I think they are yet another perfect pair, you know? Okay, the last album I'm going to show today from my collection, because again, I have many. But the last album I'm going to show off today is The Naked and Famous. This is from Passive Me, Aggressive You. This album is so cool, like the art in general. Now, I don't remember. The only thing is, I don't remember. Oh, it does say. So this came out in 2010. I don't remember if I bought this album in 2010, though. But I guess it came out in 2010. I don't know. Don't remember. They're a pretty cool band, though. The Naked and Famous. They've had a couple. The actual album itself looks like that. Unfortunately, it does not have the lyrics in it. I always prefer when the lyrics are there, but they're not in this one. But anyways, this is The Naked and Famous. You know what's funny? The deck, though, that like I immediately thought of for some reason was this. This is the Wild Unknown Pocket Archetypes deck. Vibes, they're pretty similar. But even when you get in here and I look at like, I don't know, there's something about the colors, I think. The colors of this one, maybe? They're kind of, I don't know how else to explain it. They're kind of a color match, but it's not even just a color match. When I think of like some of the songs that are in this album, they make me think of this Oracle. And by the way, as you can see, yeah, so this is the pocket edition. There is a bigger size, but you guys know me on smaller hands. Why the hell would I get a bigger size of that? They're just very, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, I especially think of the song, I mean, I love all the songs in here, but my favorite from this album for some reason is the song Spank. And for some reason, if I think of the sound, like the tonality of Spank, I think of this Oracle. It's a very strange thing for me. But even like color-wise, these match. Like the type of indie rock, alt-rock feel of The Naked and Famous reminds me of this Oracle so well, right? So I think these go pretty well together. And who would have thought? I don't know. I didn't. But when I was looking through my collection, I was like, oh, wait a second. This reminds me of something. And then I was like, oh, yes, it's literally this album. So, yeah, that's, I guess, that of that. I'm just like kind of flipping through the last of these. My voice is dying because I'm barely getting better from being sick. So I think I'm going to head out, but I hope you guys enjoyed this. I don't know, what do you guys collect? Do you guys collect other things? Do you guys still have a good CD collection? Maybe you guys have better shit than I was listening to or been listening to throughout the years. But I still love CDs. I have a car that still has a CD player, so I also just, you know, I still like having CDs, I guess. And I don't think I'll ever really stop. I wish they were more. I wish they were more in fashion still, you know? I don't know. We're in a weird time again, like I said, digital time for music, but I do love CDs so much. So yeah. If you watched this long, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again next time. Bye.